WIBTA for quietly terminating my uncle after he mocked my late mother's memory at her own inheritance meeting. The mahogany table gleamed under the harsh dining room chandelier, a cold battlefield dressed as a family gathering. My uncle, Robert, sat at the head, my father's older brother, a man whose authority in the family was as unquestioned as it was unearned. He had called this meeting to clarify the terms of my mother's will. I was there as the executor, a role I'd only accepted to ensure her final wishes were respected. Robert saw it as a challenge to his dominion. I saw it as a strategic position. The first salvo came quickly. "Your mother always was sentimental," Robert began, his voice dripping with condescension as he scanned the legal document. He looked at me, his eyes narrowed. "Leaving her modest share of the estate to you, personally, instead of putting it back into the family trust. A rather emotional decision, don't you think? Not very strategic. But then, she never had a head for business." The implied comparison to my own career, built on meticulous strategy, was the intended humiliation. I kept my face a placid mask, simply nodding as if considering his flawed analysis. The escalation was methodical. He moved to the specific bequests, a small painting for my aunt, a set of jewelry for my cousin. Each time, he'd pause, sigh theatrically, and offer a critique of my mother's judgment. "This bracelet, tasteless, she never did understand value." My relatives shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke against him. His shaming authority was a well-honed weapon. He was testing my composure, searching for a crack. I gave him nothing but calm attention, mentally noting each insult like evidence in a deposition. He thought he was exposing her weakness. He was cataloging his own. Then he reached the final clause, the one I knew would provoke him. A charitable donation to a local art school, a place that had meant everything to my mother in her final years. Robert scoffed, a sharp, ugly sound. "This is the real folly. Wasting family capital on a handful of talentless hobbyists. It's frankly embarrassing. It makes us look weak." He leaned forward, directing his gaze solely at me. She became so common at the end, letting her emotions rule her completely. It was pathetic to watch. The air left the room. The insult to my mother, the woman who had fought her illness with more grace and strength than this man had ever possessed, hung in the silence. That was the breaking point. The strategic part of my brain, the part that had been coldly waiting, activated. The vulnerability was gone, replaced by a clear, simple plan. I stood slowly, placing my hands flat on the cold table. "Robert," I said, my voice unnervingly even, "you're correct that my mother valued things you cannot comprehend, but this meeting isn't about her will anymore." I reached into my briefcase and withdrew a different set of documents. "It's about yours, or rather, your employment contract. As the majority shareholder of the family holdings, a position I formally consolidated this morning using the very capital you just derided, I am exercising my authority. Your services as CEO are terminated, effective immediately. Security will escort you from the building." The look on his face, the sheer, uncomprehending shock as his shaming authority evaporated into irrelevance, was my mic drop. I didn't wait for a response. I turned and walked out, the strategic victory complete.